the region in order to make it a beacon of hope and opportunity here in West Baltimore. The implementation of a governing or administrative body to coordinate and support the various development projects targeting each of these priorities will maximize the effectiveness of these projects and ensure that there is an equitable distribution of resources and opportunity in the region. And this target area will include the 600 block of West North Avenue through the 3200 block of West North Avenue, and properties within a 1/7 of a mile from the target area. We asked for a favorable report of House Bill 1293 from the delegation. I'm happy to take questions. And the bill is not, there's no hearing set for this week. So, I'm happy for there to be a vote today, but if there's not a vote, that's understandable as well.
Can anyone hear me? I'm just having some real challenges today with my mute and sound. So are there any questions for Delegate Ampry? It sounds like Delegate Learman said she had some difficulties hearing some of what you were sharing. Maybe could you give us a little bit of a quick summary again? Would that be helpful, Delegate Learman?
I can't hear.
Can you hear me? No.
Therese, I'll go look the bill. I just, for whatever reason, my internet also is cutting in and out a lot.
Someone just doesn't want us to be great tonight.
Or they want
somewhere in Wi-Fi land, but nonetheless, we're going to persevere. So I think there may have been a question from Delegate Rosenberg.
Oh, I wouldn't say that my question is necessarily better than Delegate Learman's, but be that, thank you. 3200 block, is that Edgewood Street? Is that the western end of West North Avenue?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, because part of that, as you know, is in the 41st district.
Okay, I'll verify exactly where the region is that we're ending, but I believe it's.
Which is fine to include us, but
yeah. We'll get that clarified and verified exactly where we want to have the parameters of this.
Are there any other questions for Delegate Ampry? Yes, Delegate Boyd.
Thank you so much. Question, Delegate Rosenberg mentioned boundaries. Are the boundaries not set, or is this goes back to us waiting for BDC's response as it relates to potential boundaries?
My understanding is the boundaries we provided are pretty much the boundaries that we intend. I think you're right in that we'll need to get exact boundaries from BDC eventually. If that answers your question. I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Delegate Boyce, was your answer?
Yeah, it was. I just didn't want to unmute myself again. It feels like if anyone's not talking, they should unmute because I'm getting a lot of feedback and I feel like I'm looking closely in to hear, but it's.
Yeah, I'm having an issue if I cannot mute myself, so I have to actually disconnect from sound altogether when other people are talking. So I'm trying to figure out by reading lips when people have stopped talking to jump back in. I am listening via Facebook to try to cover all my bases. So we'll see. Hopefully this will work out. Are there any other questions for Delegate Ampry? Delegate Ampry, is there any other testimony that you're aware of in support?
There's none we have prepared this evening. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any testimony in opposition? Okay. Hearing none, that concludes the bill hearing. Thank you so much, Delegate Ampry. Now the rest of the show will be the Delegate Conaway show. And we will begin House Bill, we'll just go in numerical order of Delegate Conaway with House Bill 1217.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, good evening, everyone. How you doing? It's Delegate Conaway here. I'm going to introduce House Bill 1217 first. 1217 is basically tax sale threshold bill, and then what it's going to do is raise the threshold for tax sale from the 750 to 2500. As you know, that people were having problem with the COVID and not having the income, so we expect that there's going to be a lot of houses that are going to come up late for tax sales. We just want to raise that threshold up to try to help people get a little buffer, get some time for their stimulus checks and all of that to come in. So with that, I would ask for any questions if you have them. And if not, I would ask for a favor.
Thank you so much, Delegate. Are there any questions for Delegate Conway this evening? Okay, Delegate Conway, are there any other witnesses that will be supporting your bill that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, is there any testimony in support? All right. Is there any testimony in opposition? Okay, at this time, we will hear testimony in opposition to House Bill 1217.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Could you please say your name for the record, sir?
Yes, my name is Anthony Onwanipo, and I'm Baltimore City, and my primary practice area is maybe between 300 to 500 tax sale processing tax sale foreclosures, and the reason being a couple of reasons. There is protection already for the owner-occupied property in the without having to do anything else to the current law of that. And what essentially I feel this bill will do will be it will encourage blight in the sense that once the 2,500 threshold, let's say somebody has a tax bill of 2,400. Well, that they haven't reached the 2,500 threshold. The following year, there'll be another 2,400, and then reach the threshold. And all of a sudden, they will not be able to redeem the property because the bill is so high. The tax bill is so high. So, in essence, what trying to save from the, I mean, I understand the intent of the bill is to try and save people from the hardship of this COVID, but essentially it will create additional hardship where they will not be able to redeem. So all of a sudden, the 2,400 next year.
Just a moment, Mr. Anthony. Just a moment. Delegate Rosenberg, could you please mute? We're getting considerable feedback. That'd be fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, please continue.
So essentially, why we oppose the bill is because of that. And what happens is, I have my clientele. I have a lot of mom and pop. I call it mom and pop clientele that just buy one tax sale certificate, and they went to the city, and the city told them that there was a property next door that that's vacant or even occupied, and then there's blight on that property, and they go in and buy a tax sale certificate itself. So essentially, my thought process, and the thought process is that this bill it will not achieve the incentive that that it's designed to achieve. Instead, it will worsen the situation for the parties. The parties where the redemption rate in Baltimore City, like all the rest of the state, is almost 90%. So 90%, 95% of people that actually own their home actually redeem the properties from tax sale. So in essence, I don't feel that the bill will achieve what it's sent out to receive. Instead, it will achieve the opposite in the sense of there may be situations where the next year, the bill will be too high, and then they won't be able to cover up itself. So that's my testimony against the bill, and I will ask for an unfavorable ruling. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there any other additional testimony in opposition? I believe Mr. Boston?
Yes, I'm sorry. You got to it quick. I missed it. Which one are you on?
House Bill 1217.
Yes, House Bill 1217. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I am Frank Boston III. I am here on behalf of the Hardy Kenny Law Firm, as well as the Tax Sale Participant Association, which Anthony is a member. I echo all the comments he just said. You know, just this summer, Baltimore City Council passed a bill in the space to really help the vulnerable. It basically said that if you made under 36,000, you were over the age of 65. I think the value of a house had to be less than $150,000, or you were receiving some sort of government assistance. Then you were qualified for your for your property not to go to tax sale, that it would be withdrawn. And the whole idea was to get at people who were suffering and had loss of income as a result of COVID, who otherwise would have lost their property in tax sale. The city administration was opposed to it because the estimated revenue loss for the city was anywhere between I think $8 to $11 million. We ultimately passed the bill and we narrowed the scope to really protect grandma from losing her house. And it was also provision that you had to be in a home for a certain period of time. You know, the way it works, just by way of a reminder, it's actually a marriage. I call it a marriage. And it's a marriage between my clients, the tax sale purchasers and investors who come in, you know, go to the city and say, okay, how much do you owe? 15, 20, 30 million, whatever the number is. They write a check, city goes on with their budget, and then these folks go and collect the money or proceed to tax sale. You should know that most people redeem their properties because this body in Baltimore City extended it from 4 to 6 months to now 7 and 9 months. Most people come back and do have an opportunity to redeem. Less than 5% actually proceed to a foreclosure and to a tax sale. But the marriage is we provide the money for the city goes on with its budget and we go and collect. If under 1217, and I respect what the Delegate Conway is trying to get after, if we up it from 750 up to 2,500, you know, and it's just a blanket exemption. It kind of disincentivizes anybody to pay the taxes, because if you are less than 2,500, why pay it? Because you don't have to. But you're setting yourself up for failure because it's only really a deferment, and it's going to accumulate, and then next year when it comes, you may not have that money. So the other thing is, this committee should know that in Ways and Means, Chair Kaiser has another bill, House Bill 852, to get at just the same issues. And we made the same arguments to her. But, you know, in her bill, the State Departments of Assessments and Taxation will actually come in and pay the county off, pay the Baltimore City off for those vulnerable people who go into that program. And it's going to be funded all kinds of ways. But at least in her bill, the city gets made whole. The city gets made whole, and it doesn't hurt the city. If you eliminate everything under $2,500, you look at the property tax bills in the city, it's going to be a hit. So for all of those reasons, I respectfully request that this bill we get an unfavorable.
Thank you, Mr. Boston. At this time, I just wanted to flag for the delegation that Natasha Mayhew with the Mayor's Office of Government Relations is here just to answer any questions that you may have, not to take a position on the bill, but I just wanted to make you aware that similar to some of the other bills where we have technical, folks on hand, I wanted to raise for your awareness that she's with us in the room. But at this point, are there any questions for the opposition to this bill? Okay, I believe I see none. Are there any questions for Natasha as it pertains to this bill? Okay, hearing none. This seems to conclude. I'm making sure I didn't hear any other additional opposition, or is there a question? Delegate Boyce. Yes, I apologize for not seeing that.
No problem. I was just wanted to wait till if other questions were asked. What do we know? What is the average that is redeemed, or the average amount owed in tax sale?
Who are you posing that to, Delegate Boyce? Anyone in particular?
Anybody who would know.
I don't know if Anthony wants to speak from experience, but you want to speak, Anthony?
Yes, I think I would. There is, I mean, as 500, 3 to 500 a year, and the average that we do, because we do, is probably between the 1,800 and 2,300 mark. So I'll say between that. I hope that answers your question. From my experience, so I mean, the city probably have data of all tax liens, but from my experience, for my market, my clients, who are, as I said, are mainly term investors, so they're not large investors with large sums of money that may deal with higher liens. So the average liens, and we do 300 a year. The average liens we do are $1,800.
Thank you so much. I guess I'm trying to figure out what and I don't know if these are numbers the city has as informational, but what the average, what the loss of the city would be if there is a loss for anything under $2,500, and you're saying your average is between the 1,800 and the 2,300. I'd be curious to know the average of the amounts per the current amount of 750 versus the 2,500.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, Delegate Boyce, I don't have that exact information at the moment, but I'd be happy to look it up and provide it for you. I do have some information on county property. I apologize.
Did Natasha sound a bit faint to others? You sound like you're far away.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, that's much better for me, at least. Pretend you're screaming, but it won't sound that way to us.
Okay, I think I'm having some tech difficulties.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So what I was going to say was, using the FY 2021 data, we do know that I don't have the specific numbers on the amounts for each tax sale bill, but there were 3,855 individuals who received a final bill and legal notice for the FY 21 tax sale because they owed more than $750. And then you asked for the revenue loss. And so I don't have the specifics for a tax year, but there are currently more than 35,500 owner-occupied residences whose tax bills are less than $2,500, and they account for $51.7 million. I could provide that data.
Yep.
a follow-up.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Delegate Boyce, do you have any additional questions for the?
I'll let her send in
Anyone
a
else?
follow-up because I'm struggling to hear a little bit, so I don't want to strain it. So if she can send that, that would be awesome.
Okay, great. So Natasha,
Natasha.
you can send that to Crystal to make sure everyone gets that information. Are there any additional questions concerning House Bill 1217? Okay, hearing none, that concludes the hearing for House Bill 1217. Continuing with Delegate Conaway, House Bill 1219, Baltimore City Tax Sales Notice.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, committee, for hearing me. I'm Delegate Conaway, representing for House Bill 1219. And as you probably know, today, I think it was today or Thursday, last week, the Speaker has sent out a press release on all types of things that we're trying to do to help the people out. It says Maryland House of Delegates announces comprehensive housing legislation. So our people need help. What this bill does, 1219, all it says is that the notice for a tax sale must be sent by certified mail, first class certified mail. And argument against that is going to be the city's going to have to pay so much money. No, there'll be the fee for the certified mail on your tax bill. So, and that's all this bill does. And with that, I would answer any questions if you have them. If you have no questions, I would ask you for a favorable.
Thank you, Delegate Conaway. Are there any questions? Delegate Boyce.
Thank you so much. And this has come up in our committee often, especially as it relates to current mail and the ability to get mail, as well as complaints that with certified mail or first class certified mail, sometimes, again, the mail wouldn't get there. So I'd be worried in this current climate that folks still wouldn't get this notice appropriately. Any thoughts about that, Delegate?
No, I would be glad to hear what means would you suggest, maybe? I mean, if we were going to modify this, what means would you suggest? We know that there's a problem with the mail, and we know there's a problem with tracking this mail. So, I mean, I don't know what else we can try to do. Send it certified or by a carrier.
Honestly, I don't know what the process is, and so I guess I would have to understand the current process of someone getting notice at all. So are you saying no notice is given? It's just that they end up on a tax sale?
Well, sometimes they don't get the notice. You know, we have problems with the mail delay. Sometimes the mail goes to the wrong address. All kinds of complaints come in. This way, at least, if you have a certified piece of mail, you can track. A person can look to see when it was delivered, who signed for it. They know that it was delivered.
Are there
Okay,
any
thank you.
additional? Oh, go ahead, Delegate Boyce. My apologies. No, if you have a question, please complete your thought.
No, I'm just saying thank you to my
Oh,
delegate.
okay, great. Are there any other questions for Delegate Conaway? Okay, it appears that I don't see that anyone has signed up to testify on House Bill 1219 for it as additional support, and I don't believe anyone signed up to oppose it. So if you have appeared against our knowledge, please let us know for House Bill 1219. Seeing and hearing none, that would conclude the hearing for House Bill 1219. The next bill hearing, Delegate Conaway, would be House Bill 1221, tax sales, water and sewer liens.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, delegation, for hearing my bill. Delegate Conaway, House Bill 1221. What this bill says is that the water bills can't be commingled with the tax sale or with the tax amount to do to trade off the tax sale. It's supposed to be that way, as I understand it, but it's not written in the code, so it's going to be put into the code to make it very clear that the water bill will not be commingled with the amount of taxes due to trigger the tax sale. And with that, I would answer any questions if you have.
Thank you, Delegate Conway. Are there any questions for Delegate Conway? Hearing none. Is there any testimony in support of this bill? Okay. Is there, I believe I do have some opposition signed up. Mr. Boston again.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm Frank Boston. I'm here on behalf of, for the record, Hardy Kenny and the law firm of Hardy Kenny, as well as the Tax Sale Participants Association. I'm not going to be redundant. A lot of the testimony is the same. I will point out to the committee that you, Baltimore City, already passed the law, and it's you know, it's actually, you can look at page 2 of the bill, lines 10. If the water bill is already under $350, and then it's exempt from the tax sale. And if it's a residential property, then it's exempt. So if it's residential and under $350, you're already exempt from the tax sale. It doesn't apply to you. This will basically say there's no dollar amount, all water bills, and trust me, I get it. We have a big problem with the water bills in Baltimore City. It's a huge problem. My own mother, who's 81 years old, who doesn't use any water, has an enormous water bill. So I get it. It's a problem. But for those bills that are right, this is it's a free for all. No one has to pay your water bill, period. And if it ends up in tax sale, well, it can't be a part of the tax sale. So I just think what we have on the books is good. We think what we have on the books is good. It gets at the vulnerable people, and you know, if the bill is less than $350, and it keeps you from accumulating too much money, and having too much of an outstanding bill. Assuming the bill is correct. The bill being wrong is a whole nother issue. So for those reasons, Madam Chair, we do oppose this bill.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boston. Mr. Amonove?
Yes, thank you. This is Anthony Onwanibe, an attorney out of Baltimore. Favorable ruling on this bill. Incidentally, in addition to having a lot, I have a title company, a Golden Trust Title and Escrow LLC. And a title company, what the title company does, like everybody knows, is we do conduct settlements on properties, and we do 80% of our business in Baltimore City. And what will essentially happen if this bill goes through is that nobody will ever pay their water, or most people will not pay their water. And when that property, let's say 1 year, the property goes into tax sale, all of a sudden, and it's maybe it becomes vacant or what, anything, all of a sudden, that bill, when finally, if tax sale purchaser finalizes foreclosure on a vacant property also, that all of a sudden that bill will be extremely high and possibly will make the property, or will make the actual property not viable as an investment. The water bill is so, let's say there's $500 in taxes or $2,500 in taxes, and there's $5,000 in water. All of a sudden, that investment is not viable.
$5,000 in water?
Well, I mean, if the water bill accumulates for several years, it could go into thousands. It could go into thousands, and then it will make the property unviable. It will make it such that, so what's already on the books, Mr. Boston said, is sufficient to, it doesn't work on, because this bill is so involved. It involves investors, it involves non-owner occupied properties, it involves occupied properties. I know what I know what Conway is trying to achieve, but I don't think it will. Unintended consequences will be worse than the benefit of this bill.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions for the opposition panel for either Mr. Boston or Mr. Monabit? Okay, are there any questions for Natasha Mayhew from the Mayor's Office of Government Relations by way of information? Okay, hearing none, that will conclude House Bill hearing 1221. The next hearing, again, Delegate Conaway, House Bill 1222, tax sales notice requirements.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, delegation, for hearing me. It's Delegate Conway, House Bill 1222. What this bill does is real simple. It allows you to find out exactly what is on your tax sale bill. You can ask for itemized breakdown. So if you have something that's like $5,000 worth of water bills that they didn't cut off your water for $5,000, I mean, that seems like a whole nother problem, but at least you'll have a monthly itemization of how much, how long it's been since you paid. And that's all this bill does. It says it has to, instead of having one price, it has to be itemized if that's what you want. Tell you exactly what is on your bill. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions if I can.
Thank you, Delegate Conaway. Are
Thank
there
you.
any questions for the delegate? There is no parties have signed up either in support or in opposition to provide oral testimony for House Bill 1222, but there is written testimony that you will find in your Google files relating to, I believe, opposition. Let me double check. Crystal, is that opposition? No, it's written support. I apologize. Written support for House Bill 1222 is provided in your Google files.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I should have been signed up in support of the bill, actually. I don't know what happened.
Okay. I apologize for not seeing you on that list for House Bill 1222.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'd love to hear your supportive testimony. Thank you.
So see, we're here to work with you, Delegate. Frank Boston.
We're all working with each other. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting technology age. I appreciate everyone's patience.
Yeah. So, Madam Chair, members of the committee, I'm Frank Boston III. I'm an attorney representing the Hyde County Law Group and Tax Sale Participants Association. Delegate Conway explained it right. We agree 100%. The bill should be itemized. The homeowner does deserve a right to see what the breakdown of each tax is. I think it provides clarity for all, and then you're able to focus in on what the actual outstanding tax issue is, and then you can tackle it better. So we think this is really good legislation, and we support it.
Thank you. And I want to also let the record reflect that Neil Eskin from the Maryland Tax Sale Participants submitted written support. So I just want to have that out there for folks who aren't aware. And also, I wanted to know, are there any questions for Mr. Boston?
No.
Okay, hearing none. Just one last round. Are there any other witnesses to provide supportive testimony that may have missed? Any witnesses to provide opposing testimony? Hearing none, House Bill 1222 is completed. Thank you. And let's see here. That is actually our last bill hearing for today, because we did have a couple of bills that either needed to be moved to another time to be heard or were withdrawn. So with that being said, I want to just give opportunity for our subcommittee chairs to kind of give the lay of the land. I imagine there's not much to hear from our alcohol subcommittee chair, who's currently not present because the big day, alcohol day, has concluded, but I want to give an opportunity for Delegate Learman as our education subcommittee chair to also give some additional information if she sees fit.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., we will be hearing from Appropriations Chair McIntosh to talk a little bit more about what's in the budget and how education funding is looking under the blueprint and possible blueprint 2. The education subcommittee will be having a meeting tomorrow at 5. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And I believe Delegate Wells may still be participating in another obligation at this time. So we will follow up with her at our next meeting, which brings me to the fun of scheduling. We will just take a vote on all of the bills that we heard today on Friday. And I think we have a handful of bills to hear on Friday as well. We know that we have to be on the House floor at 10. So that means I bring that great news of us meeting at 8 a.m., everyone's favorite bit of information. I'm not a morning person. This is a collective sacrifice. I do it because it needs to be done. But I do want to lift up that U.S. Senator Cardin will be with us very briefly in the morning. He does understand the scope of the work that needs to be done and the tight timeline we have because we do have to get on the floor. So we will be greeting him first thing and then going directly to bill hearings and concluding with a voting session. So we think we should be able to get this all done in maybe a little over an hour maximum. So I do appreciate your enthusiasm and presence on Friday. Are there any questions or any announcements that need to be made for the good of the order? I do need a motion to conclude and adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a
So
second?
moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hold on, we have witnesses saying aye. I'm just joking. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, the ayes have it. This meeting of the Baltimore City House Delegation is now adjourned. Thank you and do have a great rest of your evening.